Imagine a single road that connects 3 continents, a bridge that links billions of people across Asia, Africa, and Europe. This isn't science fiction. It's a $900 billion megaproject that's already changing the world. But the truth behind this plan will shock you, because what they're really building could reshape global power forever. And most people have no idea it's even happening. Let me show you exactly how this happened. For centuries, trade between continents meant slow ships and expensive routes. Africa stayed isolated. Asia grew on its own. Europe looked west, not east. But everything changed in 2013. That's when China launched something called the Belt and Road Initiative. Think of it as the modern Silk Road, but 1,000 times bigger. The plan? Build roads, railways, ports, and bridges, connecting over 60 countries. The goal? Create the largest trade network in human history. And here's the twist. While the West was focused on tech and finance, China was quietly laying the foundation for something unprecedented. They've already spent over $900 billion, and they're just getting started. Now here's where things get really interesting. This isn't just about roads, it's about control. Let me paint you a picture. Right now, there are massive construction sites in Pakistan, Kenya, and Greece. Chinese workers are building ports that can handle the world's biggest cargo ships. They're drilling tunnels through mountains in Southeast Asia. They're laying railway tracks across deserts in Africa. The numbers are insane. We're talking about 40,000 miles of new railways. That's enough to circle the earth twice. Over 200 ports and terminals. Highways connecting cities that were previously days apart. But here's what nobody tells you. Every port, every railway, every bridge comes with strings attached. Countries that can't pay back the loans, China takes control. Sri Lanka learned this the hard way. They couldn't repay their debt, so China took their main port for 99 years. That's not investment, that's strategy. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this. The real goal isn't trade, it's power. Let me break this down. When you control the roads, you control the flow of goods. When you control the flow of goods, you control economies. And when you control economies, you control governments. It's brilliant, actually. Think about it like this. Before the Belt and Road, countries in Africa and Asia had limited options. They borrowed from the World Bank or struggled alone. Now, they have a new option, China. And China doesn't ask questions about human rights or democracy. They just build fast. But here's the hidden mechanism most people miss. These aren't just trade routes, they're surveillance networks. Every port has Chinese technology. Every railway station uses Chinese systems. According to cybersecurity experts, this creates a data highway flowing straight to Beijing. They know what's being shipped, where it's going, and who's buying. That's intelligence gold. Meanwhile, Western countries are just now waking up to what's happening. The United States tried to counter with their own infrastructure plan, but they're years behind. Europe is divided on how to respond. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. China is building a physical bridge from Asia to Africa. Yes, you read that right, an actual bridge. The plan connects Yemen to Djibouti across the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. It's reportedly going to cost over $20 billion. This would be the longest bridge in the world by far. But that's just the beginning. There are also plans for undersea tunnels connecting China to Taiwan and high-speed rail lines that could take you from Beijing to London in 2 days. Not 2 weeks. 2 days. Let that sink in. But here's the system-level implication nobody's talking about. This isn't about making friends. It's about creating dependence. Once these countries rely on Chinese infrastructure, they become part of China's economic sphere. They vote with China at the United Nations. They support Chinese interests internationally. They become essentially economic allies whether they want to or not. And the scary part? It's working. Over 60 countries have signed on to this initiative. That's more than half the world's population. China is building an empire without firing a single shot. So what does all this mean for us today? If you live in the West, this affects you more than you realize. Here's why. First, global supply chains are shifting. Products you buy might soon travel through Chinese-controlled ports and railways. That gives China leverage over prices and availability. Second, geopolitical power is rebalancing. For decades, America dominated global trade through naval power and the dollar. But if goods flow overland through Asia and Africa, that advantage weakens. Third, your country might be forced to choose sides. As China's network grows, neutral positions become harder to maintain. You're either in their system or outside it. For young professionals and entrepreneurs, this creates both risks and opportunities. If you understand these trade routes, you can predict where markets will grow. Cities along the Belt and Road are booming. Real estate in places like Nairobi and Lahore is skyrocketing. But there's also risk. Countries taking Chinese loans often face crushing debt. Pakistan owes over $60 billion. Malaysia nearly went bankrupt on a railway project. The pattern is clear. Short-term growth, long-term dependence. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. The West is finally fighting back, and the battleground is Africa. The United States just announced a $300 billion infrastructure plan specifically targeting countries where China has invested. Europe is launching similar initiatives. This is becoming a new Cold War, but instead of missiles, they're using cranes and concrete. And Africa is caught in the middle, which might actually work in their favor. When two superpowers compete for your friendship, you gain negotiating power. Countries like Ethiopia are playing both sides brilliantly. They take Chinese money for roads and American money for tech. The real question is, who will win this infrastructure race? The answer might surprise you, because China has one major weakness. Their projects often ignore local needs. They build what benefits China, not necessarily what helps the host country. If this opened your eyes, you need to hear what's coming next. Let's recap what we've uncovered today. China has spent $900 billion building the world's largest infrastructure network spanning 3 continents. They're gaining economic control through debt and strategic ports. They're building actual bridges and tunnels connecting Asia to Africa, and the West is scrambling to respond before it's too late. This is the biggest shift in global power since World War II, and it's happening right now. If you want to understand where the world is heading, hit subscribe, because we're diving deep into mega projects that are reshaping our future. Drop a comment. Do you think this infrastructure race will lead to cooperation or conflict? And check out our next video on China's plan to build a city bigger than New York in the middle of the desert. You won't believe what they're planning.